hereby call to order the regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the East Central Independent School District being held on December 16th, 2025, and beginning at 6:30 p.m. Madam Secretary, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ginger Frizzadon.
Here.
David Santos.
Yes, ma'am, here.
Randall Gerhardt.
Here.
James Mulkey.
Present.
Elvis Ellister. Emilio Carrasco.
I'm here.
Monique Presley.
Here.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next item on the agenda is prayer and pledge.
Principal Orsak.
Yes, sir. Good evening, President Presses, Superintendent Toscano, members of the school board, and our esteemed guests. It is my honor to welcome you to tonight's board meeting on behalf of Honor Elementary. This evening, we will open with the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer led by some of our wonderful students, followed by a performance from our Honor Concert Choir. At this time, I would like to ask Ari and Rosalind to please come up and lead all of us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now have Amadeo lead us in this evening's prayer.
Please bow your heads for prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture bonds of community. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that your Twitter shows how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Thank you. You may be seated.
This evening, we are honored to share with you one of the bright spots of Honor Elementary and our concert choirs. Under the dedication of our dedicated fine arts teacher, Mr. Lopez, these students have been working diligently to share this very special performance with you. At this time, please join me in welcoming Mr. Lopez and Honor Elementary Concert Choir as they share their performance with us. you to Adelisa, Amadeo, Amaya, Ari, Braylon, Kyla, Roslyn, Sarah, and Mr. Lopez. Thank you so much. Please stand, and we can thank you so much for bringing your children to us today. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
The next item is awards, and if y'all stick around for just a second, we have an award to present.
Mr. McKay.
All right, so tonight we want to recognize a truly remarkable act of courage. In a moment of unimaginable fear, when every second mattered, our EC football coaches and athletic trainers responded with bravery, clarity, and unwavering commitment. While exiting from practice, one of our student athletes experienced a sudden cardiac arrest. The coaches and trainers did not hesitate. They relied on their training, worked as a team, and quite literally saved a life. Their swift action, steady focus, and calm under pressure remind us of the responsibility that our coaches extend well beyond the game. It's caring for every athlete as a whole person. Would the following coaches please come forward? Aaron Chafin, come on down, Coach Chafin, and Juan Rodriguez. Let's give them a round of applause. So they're going to line up for a few photos, but we're not done yet. So, coaches, I know they're going to, you got Juan and Aaron. We do have 3 coaches who are also heavily involved in this incident. Unfortunately, it's a Tuesday night. It's game night in UIL, so we have games going on and events. So they weren't able to make it, but I do want to call them by name, and that was trainer Derek Dixon, Coach Corey Johnson, and then trainer Tana Salinas. To our coaches, thank you for your actions. They are nothing short of heroic. You showed what it means to be prepared, to be present, and to be fully devoted to the safety and well-being of those you care for. Because of you, a young person's life continues full of hope, opportunity, and promise. Also, we do have a special person in the audience tonight, and we would like to call up the student athlete whose life you saved. Chimmy, could you please come forward and come take pictures? And with their athletic director, Suzette Ariel, also please come forward for pictures as well. To our coaches, we're profoundly grateful and honored to recognize you today. They have family in the audience, and we just want to say thank you for sharing such amazing people who really care deeply for our kids. Our coaches work incredible hours, but you know that they care for each and every one of them as if they're their own. With all the family of these coaches who are in the audience, also please stand. We would like to recognize you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break for those of you that need to get the kiddos home. And thank you so much for sharing them with us tonight. The music was beautiful. I need to read a couple of things. Speakers must sign up to speak on topics not on the agenda will be allowed to speak first. Speakers signed up to speak about agenda items will be grouped second. According to agenda items, speakers will get 3 minutes depending on the number of people. All comments shall be addressed to the presiding officer. The expectation is that the message delivered by the speaker is done so in a constructive manner with collaborative purpose. Speakers are expected to respect both the quorum of the public meeting and the authority of the board. This is not a forum for specific parent, student, or employee complaints. Such complaints should be handled through the appropriate board policy. Please contact the personnel office for information regarding filing your complaint. If you're unable to resolve your complaint through the grievance procedure, the board may hear it at a level 3. In accordance with board policy DED local, the board shall not deliberate or respond to any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting.
I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, Superintendent, President, and board members. My name is Kizzy Thomas Calhoun. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm here this evening to share general observations regarding district practices related to service records, salary placement, and communication during onboarding and separation. I have worked in education for more than 16 years in a wide range of different capacities, beginning my career as a bus driver and helped design internal charter school with a local large district, as well as helped open an independent charter school, and later served as a principal. Across all of these roles, one thing that has remained consistent for me is systems work best when expectations are clear, communication is timely, and policies are applied consistently. I would like to speak to the impact that unclear and inconsistent guidance around service records and compensation eligibility can have on employees. When staff receive different messages about whether documentation is required or when eligibility standards are not clearly explained up front, employees often believe that they are in compliance only to later learn that their experience is reviewed and reinterpreted. Clarity is especially important when districts evaluate experience across multiple categories, such as instruction, administrative, and transportation roles. Without clear and transparent communication about what counts, how it counts, and when it is reviewed, employees are left to make assumptions that later be challenged. Another important consideration is timing. When compensation questions are addressed late in the employment cycle, particularly near the pay date or during separation, it causes a significant stress and financial uncertainty. Proactive communication early in the process allows issues to be corrected without hardships or preserves trust in the district systems. I will also encourage attention to how documentation is reviewed. When employees attempt to provide records in good faith to clarify discrepancies, they should receive consistent explanations about eligibility, criteria, and next steps. Conflicting messages, when unintentional, can create confusion and frustration. I share these observations not to resolve an individual matter in this forum, but to encourage reflection on district-wide practices. Clear timelines, consistent messaging, and transparent standards benefit everyone, employees, administrators, and ultimately the district as a whole. Thank you for your time, thank you for your leadership, and for allowing these observations to be entered into public record.
Thank you. All right, the next item is PHCS Public Hearing Financial Integrity Rating Systems of Texas First Report.
The trustees, before the chair calls for a public hearing, just wanted to provide a few reminders about the first rating system. This is the financial integrity rating system of Texas. It's been in place since about 2002, so about 20 years. There are 20 categories that are reviewed by the state. Those are detailed out in the report attached on your electronic packet. I'm proud to report that the district in 23 years has received an A or superior rating consecutively for 23 years, but also that most recently and several times in recent years, the district scored a 100, which is very difficult to do. So definitely want to acknowledge the hard work that goes on in the district to follow policies, procedures, internal controls, but also good stewardship and good accounting practices. It takes all hands on deck to achieve an A rating, much less a 100. So in the report, you'll see that there are categories around administrative cost expenditures, the accuracy of a district's financial records that have been submitted to TA and reviewed, any financial vulnerabilities indicated through a third-party audit, and any material weaknesses in our internal controls as well from the auditing process. The district's then assigned 1 of 4 letter grades in A, B, C, or F. And again, the district earned an A rating once again, superior achievement with a perfect score of 100. And so I'll turn it over to the chair at this time.
Being that this is a public hearing, is there anyone that would like to speak to this subject at this time? Okay, that would be a no. So we'll move on to item 7, which is trustee reports, updates regarding ECISD district and community events.
I put everything on my social media. Good job, everybody.
I don't have anything this time.
No, traveling, so very busy work schedule, so I will get caught up.
Well, I have something. All right, I think I would, let's see, we got a okay, this is out at the Pastor's Center last week. This is St. Clair Christmas program. Very beautiful Christmas program. That's probably the 2nd grade class that's up there performing now. We really did enjoy the program. It's kind of a little slow getting started, but when it got started, everybody enjoyed the program and got out of there on time. Okay. Yes. Still there. Yeah.
One more.
Okay. Yes. They did a good job. The grandson still sings in his sleep. Okay. Okay, this is at the high school on Saturday. I really enjoyed that event. It was Pancakes with Santa. I went out there for my first time attending that, but I tell you what, the school put on a great deal for all the kids to enjoy. They had different stations. They were making things, and we really did have a good time out there, especially that little guy there, because he got a chance to paint. We got a chance to make things. He visited with the fire department and everything, and so we enjoyed the mariachi singers also out there. So that was a great family event that was free, and we really enjoyed that. We enjoyed the songs. Okay, there we go. There's the pancakes. Merry Christmas from me and Jeremiah. And so we really enjoyed everything out at the school, and it was a great event. I went to a basketball tournament out at Hollandale. I didn't get any pictures, but the boys are moving along quite well. They really did a good job of representing the community, representing the school. And I watched 2 games. They won both games. I didn't get a chance to see how they ended up in the tournament. But I was really impressed with the effort. I was impressed with the coaching, how they coached. We played Bernie. Bernie kind of matched up with us, his size and for quickness. You know, all the East Central teams, we're not blessed to be 6'8", 6'9", but we are really a quick team, and we play a more of a man-to-man defense than some of you guys are familiar with basketball. And so the Vernon coach, he tried to slow us down and set the pace, and he wanted to get us to play zone. And I was really impressed with our head coach, because when he went into a zone defense. Our head coach, he just told our point guard, our district point guard from last year, I think he was on, said, just hold the ball. We held the ball for over 6 minutes, and they was kind of stubborn, so they wouldn't come out and play man to man. And so all the Bernie fans was booing, but it wasn't our fault. We wanted to play man to man, and plus they had got in foul trouble, so they wouldn't play man to man. But that was a great game and a great, well-coached game that I really enjoyed, and I really appreciate going out there and see those guys. I think that's about it. I appreciate it.
It didn't have pictures, so I did get a chance to see Coach out there. We were sitting together. We had a great time at the tournament over at Arlingdale. I think they played over in McCollum. And got a chance to see the girls play as well, and the boys over here at the stadium. Young man slips my mind right now, but he scored 1,000 points, and not in one game, but that was pretty amazing. But great to see that, and I concur with Coach about the coaching on the team. We just have some great coaching, basketball, all sports. It's amazing to see these young people and how they thrive as a team, and they're building character. I got a chance to go see the Christmas Carol, something that we've done. I think this is my third year, and it gets better and better and better. These kids, the talent that we have here at East Central is amazing. And I just really appreciate the hospitality and the way that things are focused on teaching our kids character. So that's all I have, and Merry Christmas to everybody.
I think the only thing I did since the last board meeting was go to Highland Forest for the Thanksgiving luncheon, and it was totally delightful. Food was good and the conversations were good, but the very best part was when I got ready to leave and I got to wave at all of the little ones. That very best part. And again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, enjoy your time with your family, and please be safe because we're counting on seeing you next year.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. Next section is 8, Superintendent's Reports.
Yeah, I'll call Jonathan up, and look in your electronic, or in your miscellaneous packet, you'll have the slide deck that Jonathan will be presenting the goals update to the board with. You also can follow along with mine. Jonathan?
Madam President, Superintendent Toscano, members of the board, thanks for the opportunity to briefly walk through some of our data and some updates. Can I give you a quick update on our appeal? So we had appealed a rating with Cass Lee. They received a rating of 69 overall, and we were able to provide evidence to the state that they were able to update the rating. So we got news very recently, fresh off the press here, that Cass rating is now 79 overall. They have a C rating, and along with that rating, rating change came some distinctions. So you may recall that we had a record number of distinctions this last year, but we've just added to the hall. And so you're able to get a math distinction, a reading distinction, a science distinction, a social studies distinction, and a 5th one in post-secondary readiness. So, this year 15, we're now up to 20 distinctions. Well done. I'm going to briefly give you an update on our CCMR status. Remember on our left, we're tracking our juniors, and our goal is to get up to 46% of juniors by the end of the year college ready. Our current status is very similar to where it's been. We said that that's really going to move more in the second semester later in the year, but I wanted you to see the status each month. So East Central High School is currently at 16%, and Cast is at 6%. Over on the right-hand side, like we've done in prior months, those are our seniors. We're trying to get 98% of our seniors to be college, career, or military ready. The goal was high 40s for East Central High School, so they're a little bit above pace right now, at 50%. And the cast, as you can see, they got a distinction for the post-secondary readiness, and they're continuing to do amazing things. They're already at 87%. And let me just check my notes here. There are a couple things they're working on. So East Central High School started pulling students specifically for targeting college readiness, making sure that we're picking up those last couple things that they might need to meet the requirement. They're piloting a couple programs, including Albert I.O. and College AI. And they're broadening the list of students that they're testing for TSI. So the juniors, as they develop high scores and they look like they're highly likely to meet the requirements, they broaden that list a little bit to get more kids in attempt to help boost those college numbers for our junior class. The next section I'm going to talk about the attendance, behavior, and discipline, and then Jim's going to kind of wrap up with some goal progress measures for you on our achievement data. And just some quick reminders, attendance, our goal for the year is 94%. We intentionally set a very ambitious goal. 0.5% is a huge increase. To go almost 2% on that increase is a very large one. That's deliberately intentional. We've seen that, as you guys have asked, amazing things the campuses have responded with tremendous progress. We're going to talk a little bit about the behavior goal. I'm not going to give you words on the behavior data so much. I think we've done the systems each month. And next month we'll get you good numbers on those. And we'll give you an update on our discipline data. You may recall we're looking at serious discipline incidents and a 15% decrease. And again, we talked about that last month, how it's such a small percentage of our population. I'm talking about those are the extreme ones. And then Jim's going to wrap up the student achievement for us. Okay, so through week 16, hopefully this is starting to get familiar for you. The last row says East Central ISD down here. Last year, through 16 weeks of school, we had 93.7% attendance. Now, to get to our ambitious goal, we need to be up over 95% attendance. And our attendance so far this year is 94.1%. So that means that we've gone up 0.4%, but we're not yet on track to meet that ambitious goal. And so I want you to keep an eye on the status here. You can see that we've got 4 campuses on track for their ambitious goals. We've got yellow ones that are improving, and we've got some that aren't quite on track yet. And so a couple I just want to point out, the highest ones, Legacy at 1.2% increase. That's remarkable. Looking at Sinclair at 0.9% is amazing. And Salado, even though I think they've had the highest attendance the last couple of years, they have actually the 3rd biggest increase with 0.8%. And so those are all great accomplishments on attendance. As I come over here to some bright spots for us, looking at where we are in attendance now. So I'm going to go back for 1 second and just say we're at 94.1% so far this year. Remember, our goal for the year is 94%. But if you compare it to the end of last year, we're actually 1.82% higher than we were at the end of last year. So we're higher, and so but we're not tracking yet because that second semester we dipped off last year, and so we're hoping to hold strong this year on that second semester. The week before Thanksgiving break, just looking at that 1 week, we were up 0.85%, just in that 1 week when you compare it to last year at the same time. And then I got curious, and I looked at it the week after Thanksgiving was actually twice that amount. So we did even better the week after Thanksgiving. So you can see that they've been putting more emphasis on attendance and behavior around how do we proactively, knowing that sometimes we spike around those times, in those transitions when kids come off holidays, trying to message stronger, and it seems to be making an impact. We have some campuses that we do before making great gains, also Salado, Oakcrest, doing some different training, like with APs around the seasonal attendance to try to make sure we stay strong. Over on the right, looking at some of the next steps, we're continuing to message with talking points to talk to families, and we're hosting those attendance forums for the attendance for the 6 absences or higher, and we invite people up for mediation with 9 and more. One of our campuses that have been on the lower side, our hotspot is Pecan Valley. And I got a couple of quick notes. Let me just double check my notes on Pecan Valley. So what they were doing was really focused on streamlining their communication with families. And so one of the big parts of that is they started, they call it the Pecan Chronicle. And what they're trying to do is highlight student success, hands-on learning, celebrations, and daily joy in the classroom. And they're trying to shift the mentality from you come to school because you have to, like a compliance thing. We're trying to shift it more about a culture of high expectations. And that culture they're building is more about learning, growing, and doing exciting things together every day. And so you'll see that messaging, and they think that that messaging, as we've been doing, is making an impact. And I'll say that the last 2 weeks, they have actually done gains over last year. So they started to kind of reverse that trend. And so we'll keep an eye on it. Next month, I hope to report out that that gap has narrowed and that we've almost caught up to where we were a year ago with the Pecan Valley. So we'll keep an eye on the data. Just of the data, we tried to structure it very similar. And so what I want you to see on that last row as an example of Decentral as a district, we had 260 serious incidents last year through 16 weeks. To reduce that 15%, we get to 221. That's our target, that was our goal. And then the total so far this year is 253 so far. So what I want you to see is that it's down from last year. We have more students, but it's less incidents. And then up at the top, I want you to notice our goal for the year is 806 incidents. And currently we're sitting at 253, which is 31%. So 31%. So we're almost at the halfway point of the year, and we've had 31% as many incidents as our goal, including the reduction of 15%. And so you see some in green there, like CAST, that are doing a great job. CAST and Legacy have big reductions. Valor, knock on wood, is holding tight with 0 for the year. We're doing great work over there. And Honor has really improved their system this year, and you can see that in our increase in Tier 1 system. So we know as our Tier 1 and Tier 2 systems are strong, they're leading indicators. Strong systems have better results. And so as Honor has increased their system there, you can see that their incidents have come down, and that they've got 3 on the year in that goal. I'm not going to read every one of these books to you, but if I can just kind of hit some highlights for you. We're on track to get record Tier 1 behavior systems this year. We believe it's the highest that we're ever going to have so far. And I believe this is our 9th or 10th year of looking at that system. And so we're real excited to give you those numbers next month. Don't want to ruin the surprise, but we're expecting big things there. We have seen significant decreases in incidents over the last 6 weeks, which is good news. And you can see there for September and November how those numbers are coming down. We have been working on some training to try to build up capacity. And we've been working on our Tier 2 systems. What I want you to think about back here, if it's 200 students, if there are 200 incidents so far out of the 11,700 students that we had as of mid-October, it's a very small percent of our students that are having these incidents. So the Tier 1 system works for most of the kids most of the time. The Tier 2 system works for that smaller group, as you may recall. So we're trying to get the kids that have the bigger behavior issues the help they need support so that they don't keep having those issues. And so as I pivot there in our hotspot right now is our Tier 2 systems are not as strong as our Tier 1 system so far this year. And so that's where I want to focus, and we'll give you a good update in the next meeting on our exact number around where we're at with the Tier 2 systems. As you may recall, the goal is to get both of our systems to 80 for the year. Our elementaries are very strong in that area. Our secondaries are the ones that haven't quite caught up yet, and so we're going to work to get that set as we start up that second semester. Talking about Tier 2 systems for a moment, I wanted to pull up Heritage for an example. So Heritage, their Tier 1 system is currently at a 75. That's the highest that Heritage has ever had in 9 years. So we've never been as high as that number. So our tier 1 behavior system is strong as it's been. And as we've reached that mark about 3 or 4 weeks ago, every week since then, we've had less incidents in that week than we had in the corresponding week the year before. So the numbers are starting to come down, so that 72 next time, like we want to be at 42 and we're at 72. We're going to see that number coming down, and we're going to keep strengthening the system to make sure that that continues in that direction. So we haven't finished yet, we haven't arrived yet, but we're working on it. I want to give you that example. And then some next steps is really around focusing on that consistency. After holidays, having those resets, so we always try to make sure that all the rules are super clear, and the kids remember after 2 weeks off, 16 days out. If we are incredibly clear and consistent, that has a big boost for our students and our performance, and making sure that they're making good choices as they come back. We've got escape debate and some other highlights in there. I won't read them all to you, but I want you to know that we're continuing that work to make sure we have strong behavior systems to get those discipline results that we're after. And Jim's going to share some of our goal projects.
Jonathan, just for a moment, you could also point out, we're making a big move at Heritage. In the spring, we'll be rolling out that advisory period, something similar to what Success has had, Legacy's had some success with in terms of just building those strong relationships with kids and staff, and setting those expectations and really working through how kids are showing up every day and setting them up for success that day. And so we're going to mimic that, a variation of that at Heritage as well in the spring. We think is going to have some big returns to complement that tier 1 work.
Thank you for the reminder. I was just talking to Sarah about it, and she said that a lot of the moves that they're doing around advisory are the moves that will cause them to go from 75 to over 80 on the tier 1. So she's super excited about the work that they're doing there. And I love how middle schools are working together on that. And Legacy, Honey, and the team have done a great job this year, and that Heritage sent a group over to kind of look at it and see what lessons they can learn. And that little schedule change and that time and focus will help give the kids some time and focus and skills to be successful. And so we're really excited to see those impact of that as we get that second semester. Thank you for that.
Hold on. On that attendance, when you take that data,
Yes.
are these car riders or bus riders? Is there a way to distinguish when you have 6 absentees, are they car riders or bus riders? God, you wouldn't know that.
I don't know off the top of my head. I can get with the attendance team and can I check? I want a friend to check with Shane and John. Do you guys have data on that already, or can I get that data?
As far as hard data goes, don't have the hard data, but we have done some investigating. We have seen a higher increase or incidence of attendance concerns with bus riders, particularly when we have inclement weather. So when it's really cold or raining, we have our lower attendance if they're bus riders.
If they're bus riders, I was thinking that maybe car riders would have, would be a reason why, because it really wouldn't be the kids' fault if they're car riders.
Right.
But if they're bus riders, so in other words, the bus riders have more absentees than the car riders. Is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's interesting.
I think what we're saying is that sometimes to get to the bus outside, the wait when it's bad weather.
Yeah, particularly on inclement weather days. So when you got really, really cold or when it's raining, that's when we see it. That's when it really stands out more. So in particular pockets of our community.
Okay. Thank you.
Just real quick, curious on the interaction. I know you said it's a small percentage. When that small percentage, when they have issues, what does it look like with the interaction with parents? Are we bringing parents? Are we communicating with parents? And I'm sure you're communicating by phone, but is there any way that we can bring the parent, have a sit down? Can you walk me through that? I'm sure we do something like that, but is that something that we do? And if we don't, can we start looking at getting?
Can I phone a friend on this one too and talk to Mr. McKay, Mr. Hernandez?
It's a requirement. So parent conferences on serious misbehaviors are a requirement because many of those serious misbehaviors require a conference, and as a part of that, going through contracts or possibly even placing them in the alternative school, depending on what the degree of the offense is. So every time of these, it's a requirement that they meet with the parents, have a conversation with them, and then talk about what next steps are. Sometimes draw a line in the sand, say you step over again, we're gonna have to send you the alternative school campaign. But ultimately, part of that is not to be a subpoena, it's how do we partner with you to help your child be successful. So sometimes we need to find out if there are additional resources they need, maybe there's things that are happening at home that we need to become more aware of so that we can get our counselors, our communities and schools involved. So that's really the intent behind it. But yes, sir, that's a common practice and an expectation on campuses that they have those conferences with parents.
Thank you.
And I'll just add to that, Mr. Carrasco, sometimes when we connect with parents, it's not the traditional parents that are raising the child. It might be grandparents, it might be guardians, it might be somebody whose home the child is placed in, and sometimes we see some correlation between students who are struggling the most with behavior, and they don't always have the traditional parent support that other kids do. So all of those things then are taken into account in regard to what additional support do we need to provide that household to, hopefully better align with our expectations at school, at home, so we can see that behavior pattern begin to improve. So, but definitely that's a requirement that we have much more success when we have good partnerships with whoever care the child is.
I appreciate that. I know that we take great care and we welcome y'all, the community and schools for things, because they don't know their story, and some are struggling. So, just wanted to
turn to Jen, and she's going to walk you through some of those goal progress measures. So it's you have those 5 goals about third grade reading and math, fifth grade reading and math, and algebra, and students performing at needs grade level. And so Jen's going to walk you through our latest data on those 5.
Good evening. So the data set that you're looking at this evening is not a new set of data, but it is a new view of the data. And so what you're seeing in third grade math is we have a goal to increase our third graders that are scoring at needs grade level from 24% to 43%. You can see at the beginning of the year overall, at the district, we were 34%, slightly higher than we were beginning of the year last year. And then our fall interim scores have us at 38%, making progress. The next comprehensive set of data will be our middle of the year math testing, which is similar to that first column, that view of our math testing. When we have our January board meeting, our students will still be in that testing window, so you will see the results of that student achievement and growth in February, but we will still bring you some data in January with some other assessments that we have. So that's looking at third grade math. Third grade reading, similarly moving from an increase, our goal from 24% needs to 43% needs. You can see at the district level, beginning of the year, we came in a little bit lower than we started the previous beginning of the year. And slight trend up for our fall minimum at 35% of our students. Looking at fifth grade, similarly moving from 36% to 48%. From our fall interim, we are trending up from our beginning of the year data to 46%. And we included fourth grade in there. It's not one of the board goals, but we're always keeping an eye on fourth grade. And so we're just kind of keeping an eye on the school boards and how they're coming up. Fourth grade continues to be a little bit of a challenge for us. So we make a lot of efforts in getting those kiddos ready. Looking at fifth grade reading, trying to move our students from needs at 36% to 48%. Fifth grade, you see we're trending at 38% at the beginning of the year and have made a jump to 50% of those students scoring needs by the fall interim. And then you can see the fourth grade data represented as well. Looking at eighth grade math, remember eighth grade, all of our eighth graders take algebra. And so we're trying to move the needle in that needs percentage from 33% to 44%. We came in the beginning of the year at 27% at the district and now trending up to 35% with our fall interim. You can see our 7th and 6th grade data as well. 7th grade, similarly to 4th grade, tends to get a little bit more of our attention. We're looking at some possible adjustments to help those seventh graders out in the spring semester.
So some next steps, going back to our strategy on the page, the work that we're doing with system of grade schools. One of our sections on strategy of the page is high impact teaching and learning. And one of the components of that is delivering effective instruction. And so we talked about the data set of student achievement being a lagging indicator. It's kind of like when you get on the scale and you see how much you weigh. It's telling us what students are already achieving. It's kind of like the autopsy. They've taken the test, now you're seeing the results. What we're starting to shift our focus to are the leading indicators. And what we know about leading indicators is that if we can determine the effectiveness of teachers in the classroom when they're delivering instruction, they kind of give us a prediction as to how well students are doing. So we designed the leading indicators that we will be measuring. We're calibrating with campus leaders on what delivering effective instruction looks like. We've had training ongoing since October. For October, November, December, we've been training principals, academic facilitators, other campus leaders, assistant principals, the curriculum staff. We've been walking campuses with the ILT teams and calibrating on that, going into classrooms, coming out and having a conversation. How effective were routines and procedures? How effective was the learning outcome communicated and understood by students? How effective was the demonstration of learning from those kiddos? What did the teacher do for direct instruction? How did they model it? How did they give opportunities for practice? What did it look like when students had to do that work on their own? How are they monitoring and how engaged are students? So we're measuring those 5 things over and over and over again. And what you guys will see starting in January is we'll have a baseline data point for you that will be in your board hub that will show what percentage of our classrooms are demonstrating proficiency in delivering effective instruction. We'll get a baseline at the end of January. We'll also set a goal for what we're expecting to see improvement-wise in May. And then every month from February on, you will get a progress monitoring update on where we're at on delivering effective instruction. You'll be able to see all campuses across those 5 pieces. And then as that data starts to come in, what we do is we partner with campuses to see what's their next action step in their action plan. What are their areas of need? What's the highest leverage action steps that we can put in place to support leaders, to support teachers, ultimately moving that needle in student achievement, and then we help them put those goals into action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 8.2, draft 2026-2027 district calendar. Scott?
Trustees, you can see the option 1 and option 2. We want to kind of provide an overview of for you tonight. These are academic calendars for next year, and for a long time we've really tried to leverage our calendar to set ourselves up for success when it comes to preparing for high quality instruction. And so there are a lot of things baked into the calendar that have become kind of institutionalized with regard to data review days, segregation days, for quarterly planning days. We've been very strategic about our holidays in the calendar as well. And the most recent calendar that we're wrapping up has been it's been a 2-year calendar. And overall, it seems to have been well received by parents in the community, seems to work well. We kind of, I think, zeroed in on the holiday schedule that seems to resonate most with our community, while balancing the academic structure baked in that allows us to set our staff up for the best success in delivering that effective instruction. So the calendars that we're presenting this year, 1 and 2, kind of mimic the patterns that seem to be the most effective and most well accepted by our community. But there is some variation to this calendar. It's going to include 4 additional instructional days than we've had in previous years. And the reason for that is that adding 4 instructional days to the calendar does a couple of things. 1, it gives us more time with kids to round out some of the at-bats that they need academically to prepare them to perform. We've had one of the shortest academic calendars in terms of with students in the area for several years. And this is an opportunity for us to nudge that a little bit. But secondly, it qualifies the district for some revenue streams by extending our calendar that will help us turn around and fund our summer academic programs. So we provide those summer academic programs anyway, and we're constantly refining the quality of those. But the revenue that we'll generate in attendance as a result of those additional days will provide half ADA for every student who participates in summer learning. Our best estimates based on our participation in summer learning in previous years, is that we would generate around 300,000 and as much as $500,000. And those would then be dollars that we would not have to use locally to fund our summer learning program. So adding those 4 days does several things, is the point I want to impress on the board. So the calendar 1 and calendar 2 both include those extended days. They include baked in all the holidays that are similar to what our community seems to expect. But I'd ask Ms. Barnes to kind of point to the subtle differences between option 1 and option 2. And then I'll tell you what our next steps are before we bring this to you for an official decision about our
Are we
calendar.
gonna look at 2 years or we're gonna just do it?
We think we're going to go ahead and look at a 1-year option this year because we're going to be playing with this extended year calendar pathway because it does generate some
What's the
potential
acronym for
revenue.
that?
It's ADSE, additional day school year. Yeah, thank you. So, Ms. Barnes, so we're looking at 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Side by
so
side.
calendar option 1, it's very similar to this past school year, last 2 years, right? And so the start date on that one's gonna be August 5th, which is on a Wednesday. You'll notice that the other difference on that is that the additional days that are added, that's gonna mean that there's 86 days in the fall semester. So more days in the fall semester than in the spring semester. And then you'll notice that on the calendar, we traditionally don't add summer learning in. But because we're striving for ADSE, the additional days, you'll see that we grade out the summer learning on the calendar. So the summer learning days would be 22 days. So the more the summer learning days, the more revenue that we get to bring in. If you look at calendar option 2, the start date basically is 2 days later, so it's August 10th, which is on a Monday. Some people like to start on Mondays, some people don't mind starting in the middle of the week. So that's the difference there. You'll notice that the spring semester has more days than the fall semester. And then you'll notice that there are 20 days for summer learning. So the difference in 2 days. And then those are the 2 differences, or the 3 differences that you'll notice between option 1 and option 2.
So basically, to restate, the start date's different. One's going to start midweek, one's going to start on Monday. The one that starts midweek, we have 3 additional instructional days in the fall when compared to the second option. And the reason that's important instructionally is because that gives us more time ahead of state assessments. So there's an opportunity there to consider. The other big difference is, Ms. Barnes pointed out, were the grade out days on the calendar, those are summer learning. So in the first calendar that started on Wednesday, we have 22 days that we can provide summer learning. In the calendar that we start on the Monday a little later, 20 days. So again, the first calendar gives us 3 more days of instruction in the fall than option 2, and it gives us 2 more days of instruction in the summer. So that's really the biggest differences. And so we wanted to give the community and staff options to really weigh in on the Wednesday start versus the Monday start, the 3 additional days in the fall versus more days in the spring, the 2 additional days to provide summer programming versus 2 days
Are we
less.
putting this out to the community again?
Yes, ma'am.
So has staff already weighed in?
So this is just our district staff that have kind of preliminarily created the calendar. Now we want to, with your approval, kind of send this out to staff and send this out to parents to see if 1 or 2 resonates more. And then next month, we'll bring it back with the results of the survey and let the board know this is what staff said, this is what parents said. Therefore, here's our recommended proposal for your consideration.
You can see the difference, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It shows staff versus
Mhm.
community.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Scotto, this is the first time we've tried this? Have we tried this in the past, or is this the first go around in something like this?
So as far as the adding 4 days to the calendar, it's probably been more than a decade that we've taken that approach. But as far as all of the holiday structures, the start and end midweek, we've done that on and off over the years. The thing about the Wednesday start is it tends to be something that affects the beginning of the year enrollment of new students. Okay, but as far as our attendance, 6 one way, half dozen another. Again, it's more optimal probably to start on a Monday, but we would not have the 3 additional instructional days in the fall and the 2 additional days in the summer. So that's really the trade-off. In a perfect world, we'd start on a Monday and then have the extra days in the fall and extra days in the summer, but the calendar just didn't fall that way. So therefore, we have an option 1 and 2. We think both of them will work for us academically, but we wanted to just put the options out there and see what made sense for staff and what made sense for our parents.
Can I throw in?
Yes, ma'am.
One of the requirements that shifted for AGSI, they lowered the requirement. So it used to be like 180 something days base before you could even access the funding, but they've lowered it down to 175 days.
Okay.
So it gives us easier access, yeah.
Okay.
So, real quick, the fall break, is that the same 8th and 9th? Was this past?
Yes. I don't know if it was the 8th or 9th.
It's the same.
It's the same? Yeah.
And then they had teacher and service days?
Yes, there's a total of 12 staff development days throughout the school year for teachers.
I mean, on the fall break. I thought they had,
It's for if you have on the 220 or 226 day contract.
the one we're at now, the one we're
The fall break this year did staff work.
after. What was that?
On Monday.
It was 2 days off and then
You had, okay, so the students were all for 2 days
And then
and then Monday.
Yes, it's just right.
So is that the same? I guess that's,
We still
okay, I
have-
wasn't all the way to Dallas to Houston, but, all right. Got it. I just wanted to make sure. Good deal.
Are there any other questions about 1 and 2 for now? So more information to come. Now, I do want to add one more piece of information about calendars, because there's another caveat to this. One of our campuses, we're going to be working on a variation of 1 or 2. So if the district adopts, the board adopts 1 or 2, Legacy will also have that calendar, but we have an opportunity with Legacy being an ACE school to leverage some additional funding streams by being designated a resource campus. Okay, and these are substantial funding streams. Though we can meet all requirements, we're tracking to meet all the requirements. Those requirements include things like half of the staff at a minimum need to have a teacher incentive allotment designation. We're trending to be able to meet that requirement. Another requirement is they have to have a 181-day calendar. Now, those additional 6 days can look a number of ways. Students have to be at school during those 6 days at least 2 hours. So there's a lot of approaches districts have taken to provide additional time for teachers to prepare for instruction, to receive training, for students to take assessments and not take away from core instruction. And so there's a lot of possibilities for what those 6 days will look like or could look like. We're going to be working with Mr. Hyen and his team to kind of look at some possibilities for what that could look like. So I say all that to say we'll be bringing an addendum, if you will, to the calendar specifically for Legacy in an effort to provide them with an 181-day calendar that unlocks potentially their qualification for that resource campus designation. And preliminary numbers look like as much as $2 million a year. So it's substantial. It allows us to continue to extend in perpetuity that ACE formula. Okay, so we believe it's worth pursuing.
Is there a time frame to get them to that?
So we have to meet that we have to meet those requirements by October of next year, and the funding will be unlocked in the subsequent year, but it will be funding that comes every year in perpetuity. There's no end date. So it's
which option means more to?
neither one. So either option works. It just means that once we adopt that option, we can then build in the calendar for Legacy to that calendar. So their base calendar will be the same as everybody else's. It's just we have to create what those 6 days will look like for them, which I say that to say it could be a variation if we embed them within the year. So there could be some days here that are staff development days that for Legacy are not. So I guess I'll recant my initial comment about it's going to be exactly the same, but the baseline will be the same.
Because you started thinking about siblings and things like that, but it doesn't matter because they're going to be, they could be throughout or in addition.
Could be throughout, could be addition to, that could be into the summer. So lots of possibilities, lots of variables for us to consider. And so we just want to explore all the scenarios to see what seems to work best, not only for Legacy from an instructional standpoint, but for our families. So we'll consider all those things before we bring you some options, but I just wanted you to know, we'll be mostly done with the calendar when we bring this back to you next month. But we'll still be whittling away at Legacy's variation. Any questions about that?
No, not about that. I want to go back to Mr. Carrasco's question about that fall break. Okay, the fall break this year was Thursday, Friday, and it was a student holiday on that Monday.
Correct.
It's not on these, that's not on.
It's not this year.
Okay.
It won't in either of these calendars. It'll be
Right.
the Thursday and Friday.
Okay. Thank you. And then,
Anything else?
Anybody else have questions? Okay. Next item is 8.3 personnel report. Mr. Toscano?
This month's report's in your electronic packet. And as we come back from the break and we get into January, February timeframe, we'll start to really see movement in the activity on the calendar. But until then, if you have any questions, the activity this month, let me know, and we'll follow up with any additional information.
Thank you. Item 8.4, bond construction update.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas. So again, you have a copy, hard copy, if you prefer to follow along that way.
Good evening. We're going to go ahead and start with Valor Middle School, like typical. So the progress on this, these photos isn't as far as long as we are currently. We have to get these in ahead of time for the board. The actual courts are in the gyms. They're beautiful. That center section there that you see, the courtyard has moved even progressed even further than you see there. The track surface is going down on the outside. All the beds are coming to final grade for all of the planting and things like that. So just making really good progress to get hopefully furniture in mid-May is our target. So good progress.
A quick
Yes, sir.
question. So first, I appreciate the tour that you guys let me be part of.
Yes, sir.
That was amazing. Did we ever find out what was going on with that?
Goalpost.
Goalpost?
Just a weird.
So we've asked the question, we're waiting on the response from that.
Is that
from
from
field trip? Yeah, we've never seen that before. Nobody on that team has seen that before. So we're kind of, yeah, it had a little vibration in it.
Goalpost was
Oh, yeah, for the other trustees, you want to tell them what we saw?
That was wild. Yeah, so I saw, so the goalpost, and it was the one on, the south?
It's on the south, yes, sir.
Of the football field, and it was vibrating like this. And it wasn't like super windy. And now I couldn't see 100 yards down, 110 yards, 120 yards away. But I didn't see that one moving. I was like, that's wild. And everybody was like, it was
kind of vibrating.
kind of weird.
We're always going to head north, sir, as the home team. So
Okay.
we're gonna-
It was a beautiful from the other team.
That's right.
It was just
We'll find that out, though. We'll let you know.
not a big.
No, we were very curious about that as well, because none of us have seen that.
That's probably why the Cowboys did.
Yeah. Could throw you off victory. Good progress here. A lot of these walls that you see there that have the metal studs are actually closed in now. We're that far along. They're making really good progress on that site, putting the roads in. That team is pushing hard, so we are staying on schedule there and in budget. So this is really good progress. A lot of tape float texture going on, concrete and asphalt roads going on around the campus itself, and then the final grade for landscaping as well. So good progress. CTE building, again, this is further than these pictures even show here. We took some of the CTE teachers on a tour on Monday. Heard good comments. There were bad ones I didn't hear any, or they kept them to themselves, but the building looks beautiful. Good progress there, finishing that parking lot, as you can see there. Fire marshal's coming at the end of this week, so we hope to have our certificate of occupancy and push through the final legs of that. There are some punch lists last week we're wrapping up, but that looks really good to wrap up here over the Christmas break. I actually snuck one more in our draft. I guess it didn't make it to the final. There is movement on the transportation facility. You can see when you're driving along 87, there's a lot of dirt turning there. The utilities are going in, site grading is going on, and they actually work on the building pad. You can see where the building is going to be there.
Yeah, so in your miscellaneous package, the last page, you can see an aerial shot of that site.
And
Mr. Thomas is referring to.
fortunately, this last week, or fortunately, really, elementary school 10 has moved dirt out there too. They cleared the brush on that piece of property. Could get pictures for that one in here in time as well either, but if you head up Stewart Road to 1346, you'll look at that field and it is clear. So good progress over there. We're a couple of days ahead of where we were with victory at this time last year. So,
Good question.
Yes, sir.
Question over at, the new bus garage. that
Yes,
you
sir.
brought up.
Yes, sir.
How long have we owned that land? That was a question one of, somebody asked me. I didn't have the answer at the
We
time.
purchased that land, when did we execute that transaction? About 2 years ago?
Probably about 2.5.
Yeah.
Somewhat recent.
Yes,
Only
sir.
been a couple of years. About
So
2 or 3 years.
the majority of that parcel about 2.5 years ago, and then about 6 months to a year later, we purchased an additional 2 acres to expand that site to the edge of where it begins to be a low water area. And the idea was it would give us more opportunity to design in a buffer between us and any future development on that corner. But yeah, within the last 3 years. Gotcha. It was
Okay.
part of a land acquisition associated with the previous one.
Did we focus the community right around there that
We did. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, sir. The general contractor actually put door hangers and went around the neighborhood and put the door hangers before they began. So we have not heard anything from the community at all. There's nothing negative. So we feel good about that. A lot of dirt has turned.
About a month prior to us moving dirt, in part of Mr. McKay and I's just community conversations, the homeowners group from out there, as we were talking about the November election, one of the big asks was when we gonna move dirt, we're ready to see it. And we had kind of let them know we were a few weeks out, as we were closing the loop on some permitting challenges. And so I think the sentiment is, this is good. We're seeing what we asked for.
And what is the time frame?
It's about a 10-month build out. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do that.
Where's the entrance to this transportation? Is it over 87?
Yes, sir. So if you look at where the storage units are there on 87. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I see, okay.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be right before you get to that on 87 where you're going.
So
Where you're going east.
you would enter into the transportation facility off of 87?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned about a lane emerging.
So there,
Now, can you explain that?
so there is a deceleration lane we're required to put on the eastbound lane, but there's also a crossover coming from the westbound lane that we're gonna have to do some improvements on because TxDOT owns the primary on 87, so they're gonna require us to make some improvements there. And when we do that, there's some expense incurred because you have to watch drainage and everything else, right? So it's a little bit of a complex process you can go through. Yes, sir.
Make me understand. When you come out of the transportation, you come on to 87, you have to go south, is that right?
Typically, yes, sir.
And where are you gonna turn around now?
So they're either gonna go down to the high school and come back up Sulphur Springs, or they're gonna head east, or you could go to the next turnaround and actually turn around to the west. There is a
Next turn.
crossover there.
The crossover there,
That crossover it's a guarded crossover, so it's gonna be primarily for our buses coming into the site.
Can you say left and right?
Sorry. So when you're exiting, you're primarily gonna take right. Yes, sir.
Anybody else?
So one more thing, you're gonna see in your packet tonight, a lot of work going on in the high school, the first GMP, the guaranteed maximum price. A lot of work from Martha Cox, our consultants, Roseboro and LPA put a lot of work into that packet and have some good numbers coming back on this first GMP, and we'll present the second one, I believe, in February. So that will finish up that packet, and then we'll start hopefully seeing some dirt turning over there in January. We'll come back from Christmas.
The only other thing on the transportation facility, now that we're talking about that site, that additional acreage that we purchased does have access to a lane that doesn't go from the transportation facility into the subdivision, and could be a future path straight to Beck Road and back into that area of the community without having to go on 87.
Okay.
And even coming from 87 back into the back end of the transportation facility. So that hadn't been fully baked out, but it is an option.
Yeah, but I was just thinking about the safety issues in
Yeah, leave the site, take a right,
there. Take a right,
and then have to, if they need to come back left, they'll turn around further up.
But there are going to be some improvements required of us along 87.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 8.5, upcoming events. Mr. Toscano?
Yeah, in December and January, just wanted to point out a couple things. When we break, at the end of the week for the holidays, that's always the weekend, the 19th and 20th, that we have our first ag show of the season, and we host it at the Ag Barn. So that's always a good opportunity to go and support the kids and visit with our ag families.
What is that?
That's the 19th and 20th, and it'll be all day, both days, there at the high school.
Okay.
And then, of course, from the 21st through January 5th, the kids will be out, staff will be out on break. We get into January, you'll see the return on the 5th. The board has a pretty busy month. We've got a board work session, agenda work session on the 8th, that first week we get back. Regular board meeting on the 15th, and then MOP holidays on the 19th of January. So those are the high points that I wanted to call your attention to. Of course, you see all the activity on the calendar as spring activities really kick up as soon as we get back. Any questions about the calendar? Okay, so there's one other thing that we wanted to share with the board regarding some work we've been doing out at Victory. As you know, there's a board policy that kind of governs now how do we determine the name of the mascot and what will be the mascot. And so Mr. McKay has been working with our principal and some students, families, and staff to get to this point today. And so we want to share Victory's mascot. Mr. McKay. That's Sam Delgado back there hiding. And then lastly, before we move on, I just wanted to formally, you guys are aware, Laura Brim Long has a long history with the district in many roles, but also as a graduate of East Central ISD and born and raised. And so we're very proud that she's been named our district director of college career and military readiness. She's here with us tonight.
Congratulations. All right, section 9, action agenda 9.1, construction manager at risk amendment number 1, new high school, number 2, package 1.
Yes, and trustees, you have the entire packet in your miscellaneous packet, and as we discussed in the work session, the difference between a CMAR and a competitive silk coastal delivery method, our contractor, or the general contractor, did project program, at least package one, out in the market. And along with the district and our design team, reviewed those proposals that we received December 3rd, I believe, and determined best value for the district in package one. And so the executive summary is on the second page there, and you'll see kind of the breakout of cost. And essentially the guaranteed maximum price is $105,090,816 for package one. We will be coming with package two. But package one, obviously there's going to include concrete, steel, metal, athletic fields, and associated equipment, tennis courts, elevators, plumbing, electrical, earthwork, and asphalt, erosion control, site work, site utilities. So quite a bit of scope. And again, as part of the way that the guaranteed maximum price works, as part of the CMAR delivery method, is that our general contractors guaranteeing that this scope of work will be completed at a cost not to exceed that. If it exceeds that, they're responsible for that. And if they come in within that, that money comes back to the district and the board to be able to make decisions around how to expand. Line with what was written in the bond. So, Mr. Thomas, anything to add to that?
No, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Thomas regarding package one?
I don't have any questions. All that was answered.
Madam President, I recommend board approval of amendment number one, package one for the new high school, number two, as presented.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Mr. Foster. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Santos. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Okay, perfect. You just need to comply.
Motion carries.
What do you need for compliance, Mr.
It can be either or, but you have to raise your hand.
Anybody got
Visually
it?
raise your hand.
Oh.
Okay. Good, thank you. Item 9.2, consider and possible action to approve adoption of additional prevailing wage rates for specific trades for 2025 bond construction projects and other construction projects for the 2025-26 school year. Scott?
Yeah, so trustees, anytime you do a project program and you use tax dollars, you adopt a prevailing wage schedule. And basically that's essentially ensuring that the cost for labor is not going to undercut the local market. So essentially labor unions negotiate those prices across the country. There's labor costs, and you adopt a prevailing wage schedule that kind of norms for what those wages should be. However, context and local geography matters. And so we always have the opportunity to do our own survey of the local market and ensure that the Davis-Bacon prevailing wage schedule, which is the wage schedule our board has previously adopted, aligns with the local labor market. And so specifically, we looked at electricians, electrician apprentice, journeyman electrician, HVAC mechanics, HVAC helpers, HVAC technicians, plumbers, plumbers apprentice, and journeyman plumbers. And we felt like there would be an opportunity in the local market to better align the prevailing wage schedule, national averages, with our local market. You'll see on the second page of that same document our survey. You can see it for every one of those job classifications. You can see the companies that we reached out to determine their hourly rates for those same trades. And you can see the average on the far right. And so on the first page, going back to it, you can see that the rates that we want to amend the Davis-Bacon prevailing wage schedule with for those specific trades are listed there to reflect the average wages for those in our local market. Those are actually lower than the national prevailing wage schedule, and we feel like they meet the requirements, which is to not undercut the local labor market and to pay wages commensurate with the local market. But by adopting this in lieu of the federal weight schedule, which is higher. In the high school project program, we believe that we can save taxpayers about $1 million in labor costs while still paying these tradesmen locally competitive wages in the market. Does that make sense? Mr. Thomas, is there anything now?
No, sir. These respondents that you see were just the ones that actually replied back to us. We reached out to many in our market, but usually you get a percentage of those back. So that's what's reflected here.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Madam President, I recommend the board adopt the additional prevailing wage rates for electrician apprentice, electrician journeyman, HVAC helpers, HVAC technicians, plumber apprentice, plumber journeyman as presented.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Mr. Gerhart, a second from Ms. Friesenhahn. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 9.3, consideration and possible approval of policy update 126 local. Ms. Friesenhahn.
This is Tasby's.
Good with it? Is there anything from the policy review committee of concern?
So now, this is Tasby that we already presented to, we just have to approve these changes. The next one is the one.
Okay. We just have to make recommendations to approve it as presented by the update 126. So, we're good?
Did everyone review the policy? That's what I left about raising the hand and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there, there's a lot, but.
So we have a motion, do we have a motion to consider possible approval of policy update 126?
So,
A motion by Ms. Friesenhahn, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Crosco. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Item 9.4, consider and take possible action to formally assign board members to the Policy Review Committee and the Library Book Review Committee.
Madam President, so this agenda item is just to consider to take possible action to formally assign board members to these two standing board committees, the Policy Review Committee and the Library Book Review Committee. These committees are advisory in nature and are intended to support the board's governance responsibilities by allowing for focused review and recommendations that ultimately come back to the full board for consideration. This action does not delegate final authority away from the board. All recommendations from either committee will return to the full board for discussion and action. In the interest of efficiency, I'll make the motion. I move that the board formally assign the chair Ginger Friesenhahn, Emilio Carrasco, and Randall Gerhart to serve on the Policy Review Committee and the Library Board Review Committee.
Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Friesenhahn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Crosco. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. The next item is the consent agenda. Is there anyone that would like to have anything removed or pulled from the consent agenda as provided? Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Friesenhahn. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Gerhart. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Friesenhahn. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. Santos. All those in favor, raise your hand. Meeting is adjourned.